to speak about what's happening currently in Australia today, right now, with the fire crisis. I imagine there are many people, women particularly also, as we're on the topic of women and finance, who are being hit hard as an impact to their home, their livelihood, their businesses, and so therefore they're having a tough time financially. Can you give us any feedback on their current situation, what's happening now, and how we can move forward?
Yeah, and how those women in significant trauma and crisis of losing all of their resources and capacity to engage and access resources, for those people, where do they even begin? Where do they even begin to start climbing back?
Yeah, it's a very poignant question right now. It's a very emotional question, so forgive me if I tear up. I think like everybody across Australia right now, whether we are directly impacted or not, we are all impacted. Yeah. Even looking onto this situation is incredibly difficult from afar. So thankfully, the major banks, the big four, have stepped up to the plate, and they have all put in place a number of things. So for those who own homes, who have lost those homes in the fires or have had to evacuate, they're offering, most of the banks, now each bank is different, but most of the banks are offering a moratorium or a stay on payments for a period of a minimum of 3 months. So you can just, with arrangement with the bank, not have to think about your mortgage payment for the next 3 months. The big four. So CBA's announced it, ANZ's announced it, and National Australia Bank's announced it. And I am sure the regional banks are also joining that movement. Thankfully, the banks have also initiated a crisis immediate relief program where the dollar value changes from bank to bank, but you can get immediate access to funds of like $2,000 or $3,000, and it's different depending on the banks. I think all lending institutions, if you have personal debts, if you have car loans, if you have credit card debts, at this time would be highly responsive to putting a stay on payments. And if they're not, I would say that's committing probably commercial suicide for them, because I think the public has a really low tolerance right now of anybody who's in a position to help that chooses not to. You know, we're in a, Victoria is being declared a state of national emergency. Like, this has never happened before. This was pushed through government very quickly for us to be declared in a state of emergency. Thankfully, the federal government has also jumped on board and is providing the equivalent of, and this information is available directly either via your MyGov account or going on to the government website, the equivalent of New Start payments for those people affected by fires for a period of 12 to 13 weeks. And of course, all the major organisations, St. Vincent de Paul Society, for whom I'm an official ambassador, we have been working tirelessly around the clock to bring immediate relief items to victims affected by fires. All of the major charitable organisations, I think you can see also on social media is a great place to go, where people have actually set up pages where you can go and it lists the full array of help that's available. Financially, the major things are the banks have put a moratorium on any debt payments and providing immediate crisis funds, and the government is providing New Start allowances. New Start allowance payments will be equivalent to. So they're the major things for immediate relief. And crisis shelters, as you probably know, have opened across the states. I mean, in Victoria, at last count, New South Wales, there's 4 fires or 5 fires. We have 16 fires burning alive right now. Crisis centres have opened across all of the states, and they are all free, yeah? And there are endless pop-up food venues, clothing shelters, local community hubs that have opened across all of the states. Make a list of all of the people that you have loans or facilities with, I would be writing one generic email and just changing the name and sending it to each of them and documenting it in writing, not just speaking to somebody on the phone. And I would say that I am affected by fire. I am requesting a moratorium on my payments for a minimum of 6 months. They'll come back and say 3. It's documented. It's in writing. And I think you will find, on a positive note, that all of the financial institutions across Australia right now will be highly responsive to those requests without question.